My name is Tori Foltz, and I serve as the executive editor for Eagle Media, and I will be one of the moderators for tonight's candidate forum.
My name is Alex Cavalier. I serve as Eagle News editor-in-chief, and I will also be moderating tonight's forum.
All rules were shared with candidates prior to tonight's event, but to be transparent with the audience, I will briefly go over the expectations for tonight's forum. Both campaigns will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes to deliver opening and closing statements. Vice presidential candidates will begin with opening statements, and the presidential candidates will end with closing statements. Vice presidential candidate Ms. DeMarco was not able to be here tonight, so Ms. Ihoma will be reading the opening statement. Speaking order will alternate tickets for each question, starting with the ticket on stage left. Both candidates can answer the question as long as they do not pass the 2-minute time limit. We will start the timer after we ask the question. After both campaigns answer the question, the ticket that answered the question first will be allowed a maximum of 1 minute for a rebuttal statement. Only the first 7 questions allow for a rebuttal. Audience members can ask questions by writing them in the notebooks found in their seats. Following questions curated by Eagle Media staff, select questions will be asked after the 15-minute break. Questions must apply to all candidates. Both candidates are allowed to answer the question from the public as long as they do not pass the 2-minute mark. We will now begin with opening statements. Starting with Ms. Ihoma, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Gianna Ihoma, and I'm honored to be running to be potentially your next student body president, alongside my incredible running mate, Giovanna DeMarco. Unfortunately, like the moderator said, she couldn't be here tonight because she's an FGCU cheerleader, and she had a mandatory game. Over the past year, we have had the privilege of serving in student government, me as the special conference and travel chair and my running mate as a senator, where we have observed firsthand the impact strong leadership can have on this campus. But we've also seen areas where we can do better, where we can make real, meaningful change. That's why we are running on 3 key pillars: safety, involvement, and integration. We want to enhance campus safety through better lighting, a late night rideshare program, and stronger security measures. We're committed to increasing student involvement, ensuring every Eagle has access to resources, funding, and opportunities to thrive here at FGCU. And we want to improve the experience of freshmen and transfer students, helping them integrate into FGCU seamlessly so that they feel at home from day one. We're not just here to talk about change. We're here to actually make it happen. We believe in a student government that listens, that advocates, and that delivers you results. And with your support, we can make FGCU an even better place for everyone. Thank you.
Ms. Popovits, you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out today. My name is Alyssa Popovits, and I currently serve as the Chief of Staff for Student Government. Next to me is Jackson Chumley, who currently serves as your Student Body Vice President. We love FGCU, and we are completely dedicated to, we've dedicated our years to the students because FGCU has, because we believe that FGCU can become more than what it already is. This is why we've decided to continue our servant leadership roles at FGCU and run for your next student body president and student body vice president. Our campaign is focused on 3 pillars, those being student safety and well-being, student experience, and student advocacy. For student safety and well-being, we're really wanting to emphasize the importance of mental health for students on campus. This is partnering with UBU, which is an app that was created by an FGCU alum to help improve the mental health on students around campus. We want to partner with them to make sure that all resources on campus are well known to students, as well as bringing in new initiatives and new resources so that students are the best that they can possibly be while attending FGCU. We're also wanting to increase security measures around campus when it comes to security cameras, and also looking into a contract with Uber or Lyft so that students are able to get around safely, and it decreases the amount of drinking and driving around campus because it is not a stressor that students should have to worry about. For student experience, we have a lot of capital investments that we are interested in making. One of them being the renovation of the Cohen Lawn, as well as improving dining services for students here on campus. We're also wanting to make sure that there are a lot of services tailored to students so that students' needs are actually being met rather than what higher administration believes that students actually need. For student advocacy, we're wanting to make sure that all student voices are heard. One of the ways we plan on doing this is by bringing back the Minority Advocacy Committee so that we can have every single student have their voice heard and we can take these issues directly to the office of the president to make sure that every student experience here at FGCU is the best one that it can possibly be. Jackson and I love FGCU so much, and we want every single student to love FGCU as much as we do. We're honored to even be here today, and we promise that if we are elected, we will execute all of our policies to the highest degree. Thank you.
We will now begin with the questions.
Ms. Ihoma, how would your ticket work to make campus more inclusive for students?
Thank you. So one of our key pillars is involvement and integration. So we want to work to essentially make sure that freshmen and transfer students get involved and know the resources available to them, as well as enhance the overall involvement here on campus. We both are very involved here on campus, and so we see the value in that. And with that, we want to make sure every student knows what's available to them in order to become involved and feel included. Thank you.
Mr. Tremblay and Ms. Popovits, how would your ticket work to make campus more inclusive for students?
I think it starts with feedback. I think it starts with meeting students where they're at, seeing what they need when they arrive here at FGCU. I was fortunate enough to be a part of almost every orientation session over the summer where I got to interact with almost every incoming freshman. I got to hear their experiences coming into FGCU, what they're expecting, what they still desire that FGCU has to bring. So I think the most important step is to gather feedback. And I think that we're already doing that with the Internal Communications Committee, which Alyssa sits on currently, where she is able to find ways to gather information from every aspect of campus. And I believe that we will individually be able to do this by bringing back our Minority Advocacy Committee, which will bring together at-risk groups of students around campus, and we'll be able to gather their feedback of what they want to see here at FGCU to make their time as great as possible.
Ms. Ihoma, you now have 1 minute to rebuttal.
Thank you. So I think feedback is a great, is something great that can be implemented here. With that, I think that direct communication goes into that. One thing that we would plan to do if elected would be to continue our campaign account, just so we can have direct communication with students. We've already gotten, direct messages and everything. And so we believe that if we continued our campaign account, we could get that direct communication with students, get their feedback, and make change happen. Thank you.
Mr. Tremblay and Ms. Popovits, what do you think is the best way to ensure that the voice of the student body is heard in student government?
So kind of going off of what Jackson mentioned before, feedback is something that is incredibly important because it actually comes from you guys. We're not making assumptions or anything like that. We are actually listening to your problems, listening to your voices, and bringing that to higher administration. Jackson and I serve on a combined 14 university committees where we bring the student opinion to all of these committees to actually make change for students. I sit on both the internal communications committee as well as the steering committee for the new FGCU app and portal that will be coming out soon in April and May. And a lot of the work that we've been doing there is I bring the student perspective. They're constantly asking me what students want to see, what features want to be added, different ways for students, for them to be integrated into this process. And so really making sure that we hear every single voice, having different committees like the Minority Advocacy Committee, making sure that we bring every single individual into the conversation, because we really don't want FGCU. We don't want you to feel like you're just a number here. We want you to feel that your voice is actually heard, and that if you do have any problems, that there's something actually being done about it.
I'd like to add to student government. All of our meetings that we host are open to the public as held by Sunshine Law. So anyone is, whenever they want, free to come into any SG business and tell us their problems. You can come in during our Senate right at the beginning. What's one of the first things we say right after roll? Is there anyone from the public who is wishing to comment at this time? This is where you come to bring any problems you have to the public, to write us, your elected officials who are here to represent you. And then if you don't feel comfortable standing in front of a bunch of people, our office door has always been open this entire year. You can walk up to 271 and 272 and come to us with anything. And we've always prioritized dropping any meeting that we've had to talk to you before anything else.
Ms. Ihoma, what do you think is the best way to ensure that the voice of the student body is heard in student government?
Thank you. I believe that the best way to get more students' voices heard within student government is through outreach. I think by actively, engaging with these students, whether it be at tabling or through social media, is a huge way to get people's voices heard. And again, I was going to also add the public comment thing. I've been in Senate for, I think 7 or so months now. And, we haven't really ever had anybody comment during the public comment section. So just letting people know that option is also available to them, I think is a great resource to let people know that their voices can be heard and they can be taken seriously. Thank you.
Mr. Tremblay and Ms. Popovits, you now have 1 minute to rebuttal.
Kind of going off of public comment, as someone that has been involved with student government for 3 years now, I have actually seen people come into public comment and actually speak to the Senate. And I've been fortunate enough to witness that firsthand and actually see change that has been made from people coming into public comment. And that's something that Jackson and I would really want to encourage, is making sure all of our meetings are public notice. They are completely open, but advertising that more so that more students feel that they are comfortable to be able to come up and talk to us. So through my experiences in SG for the past 3 years, seeing the difference that it makes coming to public comment and hearing your voices firsthand is something that I think would be really beneficial.
Just to wrap that up, this is your university. This is your student government. These are your meetings. You are always welcome to come and give your feedback and input of what you want to see.
Ms. Ihoma, what steps do you want FGCU to take toward being a more sustainable campus?
Thank you. I believe that continuing the sustainability efforts that we have been requiring is essential, with colloquium and things of that nature. I think also just being more transparent in every aspect of the word sustainability is super important, whether that be just more education on the topic in general. And yeah, thank you.
Mr. Tremblay and Ms. Popovits, what steps do you want FGCU to take toward being a more sustainable campus?
Yeah, so I think it comes with increasing your efforts towards the initiatives you already have. Like when it comes to student government, we reinstated our Eco-Fetti campaign this year, which offers graduating seniors biodegradable confetti to use in their photos that completely dissolves into the environment and is plant and animal friendly. that is just a stepping stone for us. Something that I've been looking into for the past year and will continue to look into is reducing our plastic across campus. This will require a full campus effort. I would like to reduce our reliance on plastic bottles and move to more aluminum-based products. These products, of course, already exist, and I think that they should be a key priority when you even start the discussion of sustainability. It's protecting the land that FGCU is built in, which is a preservation.
Adding on to that, FGCU has already been doing a really great job of adding different classes to kind of serve as the colloquium requirement that are more tailored towards students' individual majors. So maybe working with the university to create more of these classes so that we can build sustainability into each and every major across campus is something that I think I would really like to see FGCU take a step in that direction. They've already been going, but I would like to be able to push it further.
Ms. Ihoma, you now have 1 minute to rebuttal.
So going off of my first point on more education initiatives, I believe that also implementing educational workshops, getting that word out there on sustainability. I have been taking some ecological classes this semester, but before I did that, I had very little knowledge. So just like getting the word out on sustainability efforts, as well as expanding recycling programs here on campus. I know like there's recycling cans in here, but in a lot of places, there's not like a lot of places to recycle. So kind of expanding on that effort, as well as maybe implementing more energy efficient campus initiatives, such as like advocating for sustainable building efforts and things of that nature. Thank you, and I yield my time.
Mr. Tremblay and Ms. Popovits, looking back at this year's executive branch, what do you think has been done well and what would you have done differently?
I think what was done well this year was increasing FGCU student government as a brand, repairing the image that was once damaged of student government, of the stigmatism that student government is just the place where you come to get money if you're an RSO. We are much more than that. The most important thing, in my opinion, when it comes to student government is advocacy, but right next to advocacy is services. What services do we provide for you, the students, and how will we fund them and continue them? So that is something that I believe that we've been able to do successfully as an executive branch. But then always, as me and Ryan have always said, a continuous effort is student government involvement. It is attracting more students to join student government, packing out the Senate chamber, filling the judicial branch, filling the executive branch. In the executive branch, it's something special where we can add as many positions as we need in the form of coordinators. So we are always open to bring in more students who want to help make their campus better.
Ms. Ihoma, looking back at this year's executive branch, what do you think has been done well and what would you have done differently?
Thank you. I think that something that the executive branch has done well with is bringing awareness to issues that face students' daily lives, such as things like transportation. Something I think that we could do differently in the future is providing regular updates on SG initiatives. I feel like if you're not in student government, you don't always know what's going on. A lot of my friends, only know what's going on because I share it with them. So just that outreach aspect again, outreaching to the community, letting everybody know what's going on. Thank you, and I yield my time.
Mr. Tremblay and Ms. Popovits, you have 1 minute to rebuttal.
Going off of what was said about keeping up with current initiatives, so something that Jackson and I plan to implement if elected to the position is actually expanding the ANT flow stations that we currently have on campus. As of right now, we only have 3, one of them being in Cohen, one in the library, and one in Luckert. And we want to be able to expand that to every single building, having at least one, so that women who do need menstrual products will be able to go and get those free of charge provided by student government. So that is an initiative that we want to be able to continue if elected in this position.
Yeah, and then I think when it comes to promoting that and keeping students informed, something that we would like to roll out, something that we're already planning on doing is town halls. Sit down with your student body president where you can come in. He will give an update, a state of the student body, tell everybody what student government is doing, and get feedback of what they would want to see more.
Ms. Ihoma, how will you advocate for students within your role?
I plan to advocate for students within my role by just having clear communication with them. Knowing what they want to see change is essential to this role. I believe that through this role, obviously, I would be a member of the Board of Trustees, and bringing those daily issues to the forefront and getting those issues changed is essential. Thank you.
Mr. Tremblay and Ms. Popovits, how will you advocate for students within your role?
Well, advocacy is why we both joined student government. We came to FGCU, a place that took a chance on us, and we wanted to immediately give back. That's why we joined student government as freshmen, as we felt that we were already part of something bigger than ourselves. So when it comes to increasing the student experience here, when it comes to addressing student needs, when it comes to addressing what services students want, we've been doing this day one. This is something that we're extremely passionate about, and we will go leaps and bounds for the students, because without the students here, FGCU is just a bunch of buildings. FGCU is the students.
Adding on to that, going back to Jackson and I serving on 14 different university committees combined, we are constantly advocating for students. I joined student government 3 years ago with the entire reason of advocating for students. I have been an advocate basically my entire life, and I wanted to continue that here at FGCU, a place that I am so passionate about and love so dearly. And another way that we would be able to do this is through FGCU Day at the Capitol, which I have been lucky enough to attend twice, and I am actually currently planning in my role as Chief of Staff. Through FGCU Day, we go to the state government and lobby on behalf of FGCU and advocate for the students to get funding for FGCU and explain how it's going to benefit all of our students. We have brought in money for Academic Building 9. We have brought in money for Academic Building 10. Currently, we are going up for our legislative priorities, which involve Cohen Student Union renovations, Reed Hall renovations, library renovations, so many things that actively impact the students here and their well-being and just their success in general. And we want to be able to continue that.
Ms. Ihoma, you have 1 minute to rebuttal.
I think that it's also necessary to add that Giovanna and I's main initiative here is to just ensure that each and every student feels heard and supported. We both joined SG in order to make a difference, and we would continue to exhibit that through our roles as student body president and vice president. Thank you.
Mr. Tremblay and Ms. Popovits, what are the biggest challenges facing student government right now, and how will you address them?
I think the biggest challenge facing not just student government, but every RSO and department across campus is the ongoing A&S fee budget. Due to inflation across not just the state of Florida, but the country, everything is a lot more tighter money-wise. Funding is scarce, and cuts have had to be made over the last few years, cuts that we would have liked to avoid, this including student staff, hours of operation. So when it comes to the student government aspect, it's figuring out how do we pick up the rest of the campus in order to continue to provide the service that every student wants.
Another major issue that has been brought to our attention is different dining options on campus, different dining services closing extremely early, so students are left without food with their studying late at the library. And that's another issue that Jackson and I are really passionate about and have already been, through our current administration, already working on solutions for that we want to be able to continue if elected into this position.
Ms. Ihoma, what are the biggest challenges facing student government right now, and how will you address them?
So when crafting our campaign, Giovanna and I decided 3 key pillars: safety, involvement, and integration. We believe those are the 3 main issues affecting each and every student here on campus. We believe that safety initiatives can always be improved, whether that be through campus lighting or cameras throughout the parking garages, things of that sort. We also believe involvement, it always can be improved as well. getting more initiatives for involvement is something that we think is very important. Our third one is integration, which just deals with our freshmen and transfer students. We feel like right now there's not a lot of resources for them. So when they get here, they're like, now what? We want to make sure that there's new initiatives and more resources available to them when they get here so that they feel comfortable from the second they step here on campus. Thank you.
Mr. Chumbley and Ms. Popovits, you have 1 minute to rebuttal.
Yeah, I mean, just to go off safety, here at FGCU, no student should feel unsafe when they're either walking home from the library or walking to their car in the parking lot. And you, additionally, with that, shouldn't have to deal with potentially walking out to a nice new dent in the side of your car. So one of the things that we would like to tackle is surveillance in those areas, leaving students not in the dark. I think lighting around North Lake is sufficient, but I think the fact is that there's no lights out, there's no eyes out there. So something could happen to you out there and you would have no proof that it did. So if someone could hit your car, you would have no proof that it did. You are left with the financial burden of what someone else did to you. So.
Ms. Ihoma, how will you ensure transparency in student government?
Thank you. So like I've kind of mentioned previously, we plan on continuing our campaign account if elected. Transparency starts there, just keeping, that clearness and clarity with all of the student body, letting them know what initiatives we're working on and what we plan to change. Another way is through just always listening and keeping an ear out for what people want and trying our best to deliver. Thank you.
Mr. Chumbley and Ms. Popovits, how will you ensure transparency in student government?
So definitely one way is making sure that everyone is up to date, keeping our SG Instagram up to date, making sure that every student kind of knows what we're going on, what we're doing. But another thing is meeting minutes. Every single meeting has minutes taken and they are then posted on Eagle Link so that every single student can actually go through and read those minutes and hear what legislation has been passed, what different things student government is doing in each individual meeting. These go for Senate meetings, Senex meetings, cabinet meetings, Supreme Court meetings. Every single one is not only public notice, but also minutes are taken at every single one. So you can go back from years ago and be able to read minutes from different meetings that student government has had to be able to see what is going on. And that is a really great way to have transparency. And something that we would like to implement is making sure that students know that they can go on and read those minutes. Because really only if you're in student government, that's the only way that you really know that those exist. So having that be brought up to students, whether it is at tabling, saying, oh, hey, if you want to see what happened at our last student government meeting, the minutes can be found on Eagle Link. And then also inviting them to be able to come into those meetings and making sure that they don't feel like they aren't able to or scared to.
And building off the aspect of transparency, me and Alyssa love talking about student government. We could talk your ear off about student government. We love talking about what we were doing right now, what we plan to do, what we hope to do. So if you want to ever come up to us with an idea, with a question, just make sure you're walking with Alyssa so you can walk away because she'll talk your ear off. So will I. But it all comes down to just being personable with people. You know, some people don't want to read meeting minutes, but the option is available to them. Some people just want to walk in the office door and say, hey, what's going on with this? And then I would love to get the chance to explain to you what is happening with that.
Ms. Ihoma, you have 1 minute to rebuttal.
Thank you. I think that another way to be transparent is also by continuing those town halls where we hear people's feedback. We also give feedback to others. I think another thing is by implementing something like accountability reports where, you know, if elected, we keep updates on how our campaign promises are going, just to be transparent with people, because the last thing we want to do is lie. So we would love to, you know, implement those accountability reports so that we stay up to date with what we are promising. Thank you.
The next questions do not allow for candidates to rebuttal. After both tickets answer the question, we will move on to the next question. Mr. Chumbley and Ms. Popovits, how do you think your experience has prepared you for this position?
So I joined student government 3 years ago when I was a freshman, and I have had multiple leadership positions throughout student government. I first started off as the special conference and travel vice chair. The next year I went on to actually chair that committee, and now I currently serve as the chief of staff. Not only have I had experience through 2 different branches in student government, I also, like Jackson mentioned, I love to talk. So I have talked to multiple different people in multiple different branches, hearing their experiences, learning what they do. I love being able to learn and tell you everything SG related. So I want to make sure that I actually know everything SG related. Another really great experience of mine is going to FGCU Day at the Capitol 2 times now actually planning it and seeing firsthand what students can do at the state government level to actually help out their university and their school. I've also served on multiple committees and bringing that student perspective to every single one, along with continuous other different experience that I have had throughout student government that would be so beneficial if elected into this position.
Yeah, so like I said earlier, I joined student government as a freshman as I wanted to be able to give back immediately to a place that took a chance on me. And I was fortunate enough to make my way all the way up to become your student body vice president, where I was able to manage our executive cabinet. Additionally, with that, like Alyssa said, we sit on 14 different university committees. We see how the gears turn of this school. We see what it takes to operate this school. So I think being able to have a year of that on your belt, where you're meeting with people, you're collecting their problems, you're collecting their thoughts, you're evaluating what needs to be done for FGCU to be more successful. And I think our experience has set us up perfectly to do that.
Ms. Ahoma, how do you think your experience has prepared you for this position?
Thank you. So I also, similar to Alyssa, serve as the current special conference and travel chairwoman. And through that, I've worked closely with student leaders and organizations. Doing so, I've gained first-hand knowledge in policymaking, implementation, and student advocacy. Through that, also, I believe that I've developed strong collaboration, leadership, and problem-solving skills. And I feel like I'm ready to take that next step into leading FGCU as our next student body president. Also, I hold several other leadership positions throughout campus. I currently act as our honor chairwoman for my sorority Phi Mu, where I've learned a lot of different leadership skills through that. My running mate, Giovanna DeMarco, as I said earlier, is a cheerleader. So I feel like my background in Greek life and her background in cheer gives us a unique perspective on different issues facing the student body. Thank you.
Ms. Ihoma, what will you prioritize when you bring issues to the Board of Trustees?
Something that I plan to prioritize when bringing issues to the Board of Trustees is essentially problems that our students face on a daily basis, whether that be transportation, safety, things of that sort. Things that we need to get done so that people feel more comfortable being here on FGCU. Thank you.
Mr. Tremblay and Ms. Popovits, what will you prioritize when you bring issues to the Board of Trustees?
So firstly, I would like to prioritize a hot topic on almost every student's radar, which is campus Wi-Fi connection. Evaluating the investments that we've made across campus and seeing what needs to be done to fix our Wi-Fi, because we had a independent contractor come out about 6 months ago, and they told us that the Wi-Fi connection here at FGCU is equivalent to that of the early 2000s. So we need to make the investment to be better. We promote ourselves as being an innovative school that relies on cutting edge technology. Well, cutting edge technology is not very good if you have a bad internet connection. So that's one of the main pillars I would like to walk in that door to tell them about. Additionally, with transportation on campus, increasing the amount of shuttles we have on campus and then adding 1 or 2 to UV to reduce the needs for students to drive cars, take a parking spot, burn gas, where we will offer the service of a shuttle to take them there instead. And then obviously everyone else's hot topic is parking. I think that there's a lot still to be done with parking. Alyssa served on our internal communications committee, where she was responsible for help building the one-stop FGCU app, which will have live parking data on that. And I think at FGCU, we don't have a parking problem. We have a convenience problem. We have enough parking for 20,000 students here. It's just about telling students where the parking is so that they're not stuck going through a parking garage that's already full.
Mr. Tremblay and Ms. Popovits, what is a problem that you have seen on campus that you want to fix?
I would say involvement. I would say the key pillar of involvement, the metrics say it perfectly, involved students are successful students. If we want people to stay here 4 years and graduate within 4 years and not transfer out, we need them to be involved. We need them to have a pulse on what's going on the campus so that they feel like they have ownership here.
I think another really big issue that I've witnessed firsthand is mental health here at FGCU. And a lot of students don't necessarily know or utilize a lot of the resources that FGCU has to offer when it comes to mental health. And that is one of the pillars that Jackson and I are running on. We want to be able to work with all of the different resources, CAPS, UBU, also community partners, to be able to bring these resources to students' attentions so that they actually can get the help that they need, because healthy students are successful students. So we're wanting to be able to push all of those initiatives, and then also brainstorming and bringing in new initiatives as well when it comes to mental health. Because I know myself, I have struggled with mental health sometimes throughout my time here at FGCU. And I don't want any student to be able to have to go through that. College is incredibly stressful. We have so many other things that we need to worry about, and we need to make sure that we are making ourselves the healthiest selves that we can be. And that is one of the biggest pillars and our main pillar that Jackson and I are running on.
And out of that, I think that we have a shortage on student serving spaces here at FGCU. So we would like to invest in a project on the Cohen Lawn renovation to turn it into a programming area for students to host outdoor events, come to between classes, because the foot traffic records show that in between classes, students go to two places, either the food court or the library. We would like to provide a new spot for students to talk to their friends in between classes, hang out, take a nap on the SG hammocks, do whatever they feel they want to do that keeps them here on campus and not driving back home.
Ms. Ihoma? Ms. Ihoma, what is a problem that you have seen on campus that you want to fix?
So one problem that I've seen firsthand living in Sovie last year was the lack of reliable transportation. Our shuttle service is a little bit shoddy. You kind of have to time it in order to get to class correctly. I think that there's several solutions to this, one being the obvious answer, which is implementing more shuttles on campus so that people can get to class on time. Another one that me and my running mate have worked on is a partnership with a rideshare program, getting those lower and more affordable rates for students so that they can get from point A to point B quicker. Another obvious issue that's facing a lot of students right now is housing. You go on social media and there's a lot of people saying they didn't get housing. Luckily, my running mate and I are meeting with President Tamar tomorrow, where we will discuss our grievances and see if there's any plausible solutions. Thank you.
Ms. Ihoma, what is an aspect of the opposing campaign's platform that you support?
So our pillar and their first pillar is very similar, and that deals with safety and the wellness of students. Obviously, I support that, and I think that every person here deserves to feel safe from the second they step foot on campus. Thank you.
Mr. Tremblay and Ms. Popovits, what is an aspect of the opposing campaign's platform that you support?
Well, we both agree on student involvement. We both agree that students who are involved are successful here at FGCU. The doors open right up for them when it comes to job opportunities, internships, scholarships. So we definitely agree on student involvement.
Kind of adding on to that, also one of our pillars are being very similar, when ours being student safety and well-being, and theirs being safety as well. It is very important that students feel that they're safe here on campus, because if you do feel unsafe, you're not going to be at your very best. You're not going to be successful. You're constantly living in fear or uncomfortability, and that's just not something that any student should have to go through at their time here at FGCU. So, yeah.
Mr. Tremblay and Ms. Popovits, where do you hope to see FGCU in 5 years, and what would your administration do to help support that goal?
So FGCU in 5 years, we would be 33 years old. I would like to see us somewhere in the range of a top 200 public university in the country. Being so young, seeing how far we've already come as a university should be commended. We have been able to bring in extremely important people, extremely passionate people who take ownership of this place and are able to execute at a high level. And I would like to see the exact same thing in 5 years. In 5 years, I want us to still be committed to sustainability, still be committed to serving the community, creating those partnerships that will then offer our students internships and job offers as soon as they walk out of these doors. So FGCU in 5 years, I hope I see the same, but with additional involvement, additional communication from upper administration, and an emphasis on the importance of the student.
Another one of my roles here on campus is I serve as a university ambassador for FGCU, and I have been fortunate enough to give tours to a lot of community partners, a previous board of trustee chair, and also the current board of trustee chair, President Timur, and a lot of other very, very generous individuals. And hearing all of the opinions of what they think FGCU, how far it has come, being such a young university, is something that really makes me proud to be an Eagle. I love being able to see how much we've grown and hearing all of the positive things that everyone in the community has to say. We are very, very close with all of our community partners, and being able to continue that. And that's a reason why FGCU is able to thrive, is because of our community partners. So I want to be able to see FGCU further those different partnerships, as well as creating new ones, so that we can continue on the path of trajectory that we already have been on for the past 27 years.
Ms. Ahoma, where do you hope to see FGCU in 5 years, and what would your administration do to support that goal?
So I believe FGCU is an ever-growing campus. In 5 years, I see FGCU as a growing, engaged, supportive, and innovative campus. Things that our administration could do is simply implementing our 3 pillars, working on that safety aspect, working on that involvement aspect by expanding internship and networking opportunities, and working on that integration aspect by making our freshmen and our transfer students feel comfortable here. We'll continue our retention rate and therefore help our campus grow to what it one day can be. Thank you.
We will now take our 15-minute break. We ask that you remove the pages you wrote questions on in your notebook, as they will be collected during the break.
Welcome back. We will now move on to questions provided by the audience. You will once again have 2 minutes to respond to these questions. The first 2 questions will be directed to each individual ticket. After these questions, we will alternate tickets. Either member of the ticket can respond. Ms. Ahoma, your running mate missed the debate due to commitments for cheerleading. How else will her outside activities affect her commitment to the school?
So luckily, because this is a group team, any commitments that she is unable to attend, I can always be there for, and vice versa. We are both busy, but that's what makes college so rewarding. Thank you.
Mr. Tremblay and Ms. Popovits, aside from student government, what other leadership experience do you have from FGCU, and how have they impacted your experience in pillar objectives?
So I'm involved with a lot on campus. I mentioned before that I serve as a university ambassador here at FGCU. So I'm constantly networking with campus partners and community partners, as well as higher administration, such as President Timmer, Board of Trustee Chair Wynn. I've also been able to meet Tom Golisano as well and give him a tour. I've also been able to talk to Board of Governors members, state legislators, and being able to network with all of them has really given me a lot of experience that I would be able to take into this role. Additionally, I am also a member of Greek Life. I'm a member of Alpha Chi Omega, and I have two non-executive roles within that. So I've had a lot of leadership when it comes to Greek Life as well. And I also serve as president of Student Alumni Association. So I do understand with being a president of an RSO, I understand how FGCU works from multiple different scopes. And it has given me a lot of experience to be able to further myself into this role if elected.
Yeah, so for me, a lot of my leadership experience comes from outside of FGCU. Since I was a freshman, I've had the privilege of working for Publix Grocery, where I'm a team leader there. So I'm responsible for managing a group of employees, usually a lot younger than myself, and managing them in a way to get us all out on time at the end of the night. On top of the fact that during the summers, I volunteer to do youth tennis lessons to underprivileged children as well as senior citizens. So I'm also responsible for leading the maintenance on the facilities, as well as leading a group of trainers to present lessons to the students.
Ms. Ahoma, any ideas how to advocate for students with food restrictions?
Absolutely. So there's a few different ways to do that. Obviously, the first way is just by getting knowledgeable on what food restrictions aren't accommodated here on campus. The next way is implementing them. I know that there's a lot of talk of implementing different types of food restrictions, such as kosher foods and things of that sort. So just being communicative with the student body and getting an understanding for what the need is our main initiative in that. Thank you.
Mr. Tremblay and Ms. Popovitz, any ideas how to advocate for students with food restrictions?
Yeah, so right now the main food group that is lacking here at FGCU is kosher options. Just because of the difficulties in having more of a brick and mortar store that offers kosher options, there are a lot of restrictions that come with having proper kosher food. So something that I've been able to talk to the head of Chartwell's with is having prepackaged kosher meals throughout our marketplaces here at FGCU. So we've made good progress on that. This stuff takes time to bring new products like that on campus, as especially in the means of kosher, there are special things that you have to do to maintain its kosher label.
Additionally, for those that have different dietary restrictions as well as allergies, making sure that it's transparent what kind of goes into each individual meal so that no student is left wondering or kind of risking possibly their life if they try and eat something here on campus. So making sure that nutrition labels are up to date and that if there is a possibility for any sort of cross-contamination or if is any sort of something that someone would have an allergy to, that it's actually put forth and transparent to the rest of the student body so that they don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, just wrap that up. I have a shellfish allergy, so I'm always cognizant of the food that I'm eating. And I appreciate it a lot when places I go to eat at are transparent with what's in the food. I believe FGCU does do a pretty decent job, especially on Grubhub, of allergy restrictions in food, but there's always room to improve.
Mr. Tremblay and Ms. Popovitz, since town halls clearly cannot reach a majority of students, how will you ensure you get communications and feedback from students?
So there are a lot of different ways to be able to implement feedback. So one of the ways that we could be able to do this is possibly recording the town hall and being able to upload that onto EagleLink or up to social media, utilizing social media to be able to have polls or educating students on things that are going on campus. Another really great resource that is not really utilized a whole lot is having post-event feedback surveys after you have an event on Eagle Link. So this can be put into any sort of event. You can have it where once the event ends, all of the attendees receive an email with a feedback form. They'd be able to go on and give feedback for not only the event, but we could also implement it and have different questions of adding something of, do you have any problems you would like to bring forth to SG? And we would be able to send those surveys to any student that attends student government events.
Ms. Ihoma, since town halls clearly cannot reach a majority of students, how will you ensure you get communication and feedback from students?
So as I've mentioned several times before throughout this debate, I think that social media plays a very big role in every student's life. So just continuing our campaign account and using that as a direct form of communication with students could be a great way to receive that feedback and to hear what they want changed here. Thank you.
Ms. Ihoma, I have heard first year, freshmen, and transfers, but why have neither of you mentioned first generation students?
I think first generation students are absolutely a great thing that needs to be addressed here. I personally am a first generation student as well. My dad's from Nigeria, so he didn't obviously get education over there. We are committed to all different types of diversity, and we are committed to hearing the grievances of any and every student here on campus, and that, of course, includes first generation students. Thank you.
Mr. Tremblay and Ms. Popovits, I have heard first year, freshmen, and transfers, but why have neither of you mentioned first generation students?
Yeah, so first generation students are extremely important as coming in to a college background with your parents not having previous education. You really kind of lack the steps of what to expect. Like you don't grow up with this story of your parents telling you about their college days and the importance of studying for classes and whatnot. But we mentioned first year students and transfer students as the metrics show that those typically are the hotspots for students who transfer out or unsuccessful upon arrival. But first generation students are as important as first year students and transfer students. We have a great first gen program here at FGCU. We have great mentorship programs. I think it comes down to highlighting those programs and educating students about the resources that are available to them.
I think also adding on to that, utilizing the Minority Advocacy Committee that we are currently working on restoring and wanting to be able to continue that if elected, bringing in those students so that they can bring any first generation, like their perspective being a first gen student. They are incredibly important, and hearing all of their different experiences and just what they have to offer to the university, they come in with such a different perspective, and being able to showcase that through the Minority Advocacy Committee so that we can bring those issues or different ideas straight to the Office of the President.
Mr. Tremblay and Ms. Popovits, what steps can be taken by campus leaders such as yourselves to adopt to or counteract restrictions imposed by state legislation?
I think it comes down to being transparent of what these policies mean to the students and how students will be affected in their day-to-day lives. And then I think it comes down to the fact that, look, these are state laws. We are a state university. We rely on public funded. We have to abide by state laws, but there are ways around these. There are ways to alleviate any discomfort that students will feel in a sudden change in their day-to-day lives. I think it comes back down to gathering feedback on just the small things. It comes down to the small things most of the time of transportation, Wi-Fi connection, all the small things that add up into the overall student experience. And I think it comes down to getting the feedback of what will need to be done to alleviate pain of new state laws and restrictions.
Ms. Ihoma, what steps can be taken by campus leaders such as yourself to adopt to or counteract restrictions imposed by state legislation?
So when speaking of state legislation, I'm assuming that we're speaking of DEI initiatives being pulled back. Despite any legislation, it is Giovanna and I's main initiative here on campus to make sure that every student feels safe, heard, and supported. We plan on protecting student organizations no matter what and advocating for inclusive programming. And we would love to work with the administration to keep resources available for all students. Thank you.
We will now begin with the closing statements. Starting with Mr. Tremblay, you have 3 minutes.
Well, firstly, I wanted to thank you all for coming here tonight. This is a very important process that we undertake here at FGCU, as this is where we will select who will represent 16,000 great students here at FGCU. I'm honored to be just in consideration for this role. If you would have told freshman me that I'd be here tonight on this stage going for such a prestigious position, I would have laughed at you. I would have thought I would just be playing tennis here. But this is what FGCU is. This is a place where you grow. This is a place where you change your perspectives. This is a place where you grow into who you are meant to be. And I think FGCU does the best job at fostering that. And our administration is committed to 3 main pillars. That is your health and wellness, your experience here, and advocating for you. So by adding new security measures here across campus to transforming old events and adding new ones to give you a better time here, and then listening to you, sitting down, meeting people where they're at to see what needs to be done. You know, I've grown into the philosophy through a year of this role that someone is sitting in the shade today because of a tree someone planted years ago. We are not going to see immediate effects of the work that we do, but we will see it years to come when we come back here, hopefully with families of our own. And my goal here, if I could do one thing, it's to let you walk out of this door in 4 years, having enjoyed your experience so much that one day you come back with a family of your own and you are able to watch your kids of your own fall in love with this place the same way I hope you were. And thank you. And of course, wings up and go Eagles.
Ms. Ihoma, you have 3 minutes.
So I wanted to start by just thanking you all for coming out tonight. Throughout this campaign, my running mate and I have made one thing clear. We are here to serve you. We are here to listen to your concerns, advocate for your needs, and turn ideas into action. Whether it's making campus safer, ensuring every student finds their place here, or improving the resources and opportunities, we are committed to you. We are running because we believe in this campus, we believe in its students, and we believe in the power of a strong, united community. We don't just want to represent you, we want to work alongside you to create a better FGCU for everyone. On February 25th, tomorrow, we ask you to vote. Let's work together to create a safer, more involved, and more connected campus. Thank you all.
Thank you all for joining us. Student Government Supervisor of Elections and Chief Justice will now say a few words about voting in the coming days.
Hi, everyone. I am Ryder Marshall, and I'm your Supervisor of Elections. For voting, please go on Eagle Link, vote tomorrow, and it ends on Thursday. And there is an event at the Boardwalk starting at around 6:30 and then announcements will actually be out at 7 p.m. about who has actually won our presidential seat and vice president seat. But I do want to say that elections are so important. Having your voice heard is the most important part of being a person and being able to exercise how you feel and what you want to see. So please vote, like really, and tell your friends, tell everybody to vote.